Hello everyone, in this video I'll be covering some of the best class and subclass mods in Baldur's Gate 3's mod manager. I aim to focus on some of the less talked about subclass and class mods that are really great, such as the Wildfire Druid, the Shadow Sorcerer, and the Alchemist that comes with 3 unique subclasses. So without further ado, we're going to get into things here, and I guess I'll start off with the Alchemist, and this is a really interesting one. So the Alchemist here, made by Rela Mod. This has 3 different subclasses and a variety of different effects. So it is a caster class, but it is only a half caster. Now I'll show off all of the subclasses here. So at level 1, we get ourselves the Arcane Recovery, similar to what a wizard would get, and the Experimental Alchemy, similar to what a wizard subclass would get. So you succeed a 15 DC medicine check, and you can make 2 alchemical solutions instead of 1. And you can spend your Arcane Recovery charge to use special grenade cantrips. So this is really cool. I'll cover all the unique benefits of this, and there's 3 distinct subclasses that will show off here. So at level 2, you get to choose cantrips, and you have a wide variety, even further expanded if you have the Mistress Spells mod, so I highly recommend grabbing that. And a pretty solid spell selection here. And then we get our class passives, so things like the Alchemical Makeup, Eyes of Detection, which is like the Devil's Sight, giving us magical dark vision, Enhanced Anatomy, giving the Intelligence modifier to the armor class, Chameleon, adding proficiency and expertise in stealth, Duck and Cover, giving proficiency in dexterity saving throws, and the Smoke Bomb, which is a basically dark spell, darkness spell that uses arcane recovery charges. What's cool about this is you can kind of start to see, like Chameleon, you can stealth, so you can go into hiding, use grenade attacks. It's really interesting. I like when these classes have their own unique way of playing. Like, you could play with a caster, you could play a grenade lobber. So the subclasses, we got the School of the Grenadier here, which gives you the Arcane Explosive, so you infuse a small string of warding magic into your bombs. Allies automatically succeed their saving throws and take no damage from your explosions. Really cool. The School of the Venomist. So after ingesting various reagents and breathing less than savory fumes, you are immune to poison damage and cannot be poisoned or affected by disease. And the School of Mutator. So this is a interesting form of alchemy. So this is focuses on the body, so you get yourself a fighting style. You also get the Inject Mutagen, so your alchemical study involves change, but there must be a trade-off. Gain advantage in Constitution, Strength, and Dexterity saving throws, but disadvantage on Charisma, Wisdom, and Intelligence saving throws, which can be difficult because that gives you disadvantage on things like Hold Person. Armor class increased by 1. And then the Inject Cognotogen, which gives you the opposite, advantage on Charisma, Wisdom, and Intelligence saving throws, and disadvantage on Constitution, Strength, and Dexterity saving throws. This class is more so for people that know the game very well. Like, if you're against a Mind Flayer, getting advantage on Intelligence saving throws is really nice. I'm going to show off the Grenadier here, because this is a really cool one, and you get, again, all the access to the different spells there. So here's some of the benefits of the Poison subclass. So you get different things like Celestial Poison here, which gives you resistant immunity to poison damage whenever spells you cast and attack. And you also got, when you poison the target, they get 1 fewer action, which is actually huge, and reduce their armor class by 2, similar to the acid effect. You can get the Assassin's Blade, which has a 1d4 poison damage. The Toxin Master, whenever one of your spells or cantrips deals poison damage, add your spell casting modifier to the attack's damage. And the Choking Gas, so you learn to create Choking Gas, which damages and poisons creatures each turn, spend 2 arcane recovery charges, so another grenade attack. And then the Mutagen 1 gets an extra attack at level 5. They also get the Caustic Blood, so whenever a creature deals melee damage to the wearer, the creature takes damage equal to your Constitution modifier. The Master Mutagen here, so you learn the Master Mutagen, you gain advantage on Constitution, Strength, and Dexterity saving throws without the downside, so at level 11 there. Speedy Metabolism, whenever you get healed, you get the max amount of health points. And the Unflinched Mutagen, whenever you can't be charmed or frightened. So back to the Grenadier here. So you continue along. At level 11, that's when you get like your massive class effects. So similar to a lot of the other classes in the base game. Level 6 and level 11 are the big ones. So at level 5, we get this is for all the alchemists. So you get the Volatile Mixture, doing a 2d8 of fire damage, using an arcane recovery charge to make this fire grenade. And then we also get the Throw Everything bonus action, throw a character and item from the world into your inventory in a bonus action. So bonus action throw, this is nice from our grenade class, because you can see we got a lot of spells, but being able to bonus action throw grenades and spell cast is pretty huge. So we get ourselves another spell here, and the class passive is actually enhanced. So Breaching Charge, you learn to create Breaching Charge that deal force damage and destroy objects. So that's a 2 they use 2 arcane recovery charges, 3d8 of force damage. You also get a Flashbang, which can blind foes and debilitate the Steel Watcher, similar to the grenades that you can get in Act 3 that do the same. Pretty cool to get that from a class. Level 7, you get the evasion similar to what the rogue would get, so you get the nice ability to dodge some spells. Level 8, we get ourselves the feat again and another spell. Again, this is a half caster, so you don't get full spell casting, but it does get unique spells and different things like grenades. But you also get like haste and lightning bolt and fireball, so a lot of the spells that you'd want anyways. Another subclass feature, so this empowered transmutation, so you can add your intelligence modifier to damage rolls with transmutation spells and special grenades. Pretty nice. We also get ourselves another cantrip and another level 3 spell, and then 2 more class passives. We got like a cluster bomb, so this uses 3 arcane recovery charges, does 3d8 of fire damage, and you throw 3 of them. And yeah, this class, again, mostly focused about grenade throwing. Class feature, after you cast a cantrip or throw your special grenade, you can make a weapon attack using a bonus action. Pretty cool. Bombs, blasts, and blades. And you also get the volatile mixture here, throwing a burning flask at the enemy. So pretty cool, a little extra fire damage. So that is the alchemist class there. So there's also 2 dusk blades that we'll be covering in a moment here. Both of them are very interesting. I'll be covering them both together, but we also have the Scorched Domain Cleric. What's cool about this is you get some fire spells. It's similar to the Forge domain, so there's a few different domains that have been added: Forge, Twilight, Order, Scorch, and Shadow domain. There's a few other ones, but these are the best of the cleric domains that I've found. The Scorched domain giving us the ability to cast Firebolt, Searing Smite, and Hellish Rebuke. And we get a subclass feature: when you deal fire damage, the target starts burning unless they succeed a Constitution saving throw. And I believe from testing, it's a 10 DC Constitution saving throw, which can be impacted there. So next level, we get our Reclaim Undead, but our channel divinity is in flame, so you burn yourself to make the target vulnerable to fire damage unless it is immune to fire damage. There's not many ways to be able to make any targets vulnerable to fire damage, not in the base game anyways, but this is incredible because you can deal double damage with fire as a channel divinity, and it's a bonus action. We also get ourselves a fighting style. Doesn't include the defense one, but it's pick a weapon type and you go with that. It's actually quite a fun class. This mod was made by Sarach here, and yeah, this one is pretty cool. We also get ourselves Flame Blade and Heat Metal for the class spells, so pretty useful. And you get yourself the cantrip choice here, but what's nice about this is you deal fire damage, and the cleric itself, not typically a heavy damage dealer, but this one can make it pretty strong in damage. Now we also get Conjure Barrage, which is actually quite a useful spell. And we also get ourselves Fire Weapon, which is similar to the Elemental Weapon, but only for fire damage, giving a +1 to attack rolls and dealing additional 1 to 4 fire damage. Lasts until long rest. Always prepared. That's super useful because then we can just buff ourselves up and deal additional fire damage and not have to really think about much because it's just going to be active. Doesn't require concentration. At level 6, we get an extra attack and we get the Heat Seeker, so advantage on attack rolls against burning targets, which we can burn targets pretty easily. But that's really strong, honestly. And then at level 7, we get ourselves the Fire Shield spell and Wall of Fire, which is a pretty great spell because we do have concentrations like Spirit Guardian, but that's a good concentration to have. Divine Strike Fire, so once per turn deal an additional 1d8 of fire damage. So so if you combine the Helldust Gloves, the Fire Weapon, and the Divine Strike Fire, you can deal an additional 18 fire damage per turn. And if they're vulnerable, that doubles the fire damage, which makes this class actually really strong. I think this is a lot of fun, but it's not broken overpowered. We also get Conjure Fire Elemental and Hold Monster for spells, which are 2 really useful spells, and a Fire Elemental is nice. Classic Channel Divinity, or Divine Intervention there. Level 11, you get the classic Planar Ally, which you always want to have. The Genie or the Diva, very useful. So the Scorched Domain is cool because you get in there, you go and you deal fire damage. You can inflame a target, making them vulnerable to fire damage. You can go and Searing Smite them. You can Flame Blade, make yourself a fire weapon. There's so much choice here that you can go with. I think it's also cool that you can just conjure up a Fire Myrmidon or Fire Elemental. The Fire Myrmidon, I would recommend using the spell of Staff of Spell Power, because then you can upcast this and get this for free. What's cool about the Fire Elemental is it hastes itself for 3 turns, so I don't know why its head's crooked there, but the Fire Elemental is really nice to have. Next, they'll show off the Shadow Sorcerer. We have a lot of different ones like Cosmic, Voidborn, Phoenix Soul, Divine Soul, but I like the Shadow Magic because at level 6 you get an ability to summon in a Spectral Wolf, and you can choose a target to attack with this, and it can only attack that target, but you can get this every 2 turns. So it's like a normal Sorcerer here. You get a lot of different spell slot selections, but in addition to this, you also get the ability to So at level 3, you get the Shadow Curse resistance, so your connection to Shadowfell grows. You become resistant to the Shadow Curse, will only be subject to the first level Shadow Curse damage. And then level 6, this increases even further. So furthermore, when in full or partial shadows, you receive +1 to armor class. So that's really nice. And once we get to level 6, we get all of our big benefits here. But at level 4, we also get ourselves the feat selection. So with most sorcerer subclasses, the big benefits come at level 6 and level 11. So we'll just burn through to show off level 6 feature here. Now at level 6, we get ourselves a Shadow Curse immunity. So we are immune to the Shadow Curse damage, and we get a +2 to armor class whenever in partial or full shadow. There's a lot of shadows in this game. We also get our Hound of Ill Omen. So target a creature within range to become a target of the Hound of Ill Omen. When summoned, the Hound can only attack its target. This will recharge after 2 turns of combat. And we also get ourselves a Shadow Walk here. While in dim light or darkness, teleport to an unoccupied space, also in dim light or darkness, as a bonus action. So similar to the Shadow Monk, it gets that teleport ability. And then also get Blur, Blindness, See Invisibility, and Invisibility spells. So you can be a little bit more stealthy than your average sorcerer, which I think is really nice. And then once we get to level 11, we get some further benefits here. So I'll just speed through this. I like this class because the sorcerer is not typically like a stealth-based class, but whenever you get all these extra spells, it can play very stealthy, which I think is a really nice way about going around playing the sorcerer. It's a lot more powerful than the Trickery Domain Cleric, which is not that great. I guess, yeah, at level 11, it just gets the level 6 spells, but most of the biggest benefits come at level 6 there. So you get that nice Hound of Ill Omen. So per turn, you can summon this in. And basically what it does, we don't have any enemies here, but you summon it in, you'll summon a wolf, and the wolf will attack them for 2 turns, which is pretty nice to have. So the Shadow Sorcerer, really, really useful. I forgot to mention at level 1, you get the Endarken Cantrip for Sorcerer, which makes you able to extinguish light sources. And you also get Hex, Disguise Self, Dark Vision up to 36 meters, and the Strength of the Grave. So this is an interesting version of basically Death Ward. So when you get reduced to 0 health points, you resume with 1, unless you got hit with radiant damage or a critical hit. So that's really cool, a little bit different than the other subclasses. So yeah, Shadow Magic, very fun. So next we got ourselves the Circle of Wildfire Druid. So this is cool because the Druid is obviously about plant growth, but the Circle of Wildfire Druid understands that you need to burn things down to grow it back. So you get the Summon Primal Spirit, which expends a wild shape to summon in a Fire Spirit, which is similar to the Dungeons and Dragons abilities that it normally has. So this mod here was made by Sif the Revenant, and it's really cool. I'll show this class off in a little bit more detail. There's your little fire humanoid. It's really cool. So Circle of Wildfire gets a lot of the different spells. You can take Create Water, but use Destroy Water to make this even more beneficial. At level 3, we get ourselves the Flaming Sphere and Scorching Ray spells, which are nice to be able to deal a little extra damage. This works well with the Cleric that can add a vulnerability to fire damage. And then we also get our Wild Shape charges here. I also have the Level Curve mod, but it's not impacting that. So certain subclasses bypass some of the issues that other mods create. At level 5, we get Plant Growth and Revivify, but you got to watch out with Plant Growth because it burns down really easily if there's anything fire related in the area. So that is something that you obviously got to keep an eye on. You also get the Wildfire Panther Wild Shape form. So it's a little bit of a different form. You can see there's Wildfire form or Wild Shape forms that are fire based. Warden of Vitality and Fire Shield there. And there's the Summon Elemental. So you got some, the Druid actually has a really good spell slot selection. So I'm a big fan of the Druid in general, but anytime that you can add a lot more to it, it's always fun. You also get Flame Strike here and Mass Cure Wounds. Flame Strike being an okay spell, but improved Wild Shape, Dilophosaurus, and you also get a Fire Myrmidon shape, so you can turn into the Fire Myrmidon with a Haste, which is really cool, and then a Wildfire Dilophosaurus. So that's also another cool, unique transformation that we get. I'll show all these off in just a moment here, because that's really the bread and butter of the Druid is the Wild Shape and all the transformations. Again, Mistress Spell mod makes some of these really, really fun, so I'd recommend having them. Now here is our Primal Spirit. So we got a Primal Humanoid, a Primal Bear, Primal Raven, or a Primal Wolf. Summoning it in, it's a Flamin' Bear. Pretty freaking cool, eh? And what's nice about this is it has like a Flame Seed attack and Claws attack. Fiery Teleportation, so you can teleport around with an adjacent ally. We also got our Flaming Spear for early game crowd control. And with this, we also have our Wild Shapes, which we got a Wildfire Owl, Bear, Panther, Dilophosaurus, and the Fire Myrmidon, which only uses one wild shape charge, so that's really nice. I'd recommend using the wild shape hat because some of these will be a little bit consuming. But here's our fire version of the owl bear, so pretty nice. You got the hide ability, and you can enrage yourself, only available in combat. So with that, I guess I'll short rest and show off another long rest. So we also got the ability to transform into a panther here, which is pretty cool because when we transform, you're gonna see we got fire on our body. So it doesn't get any extra fire damage on its attacks, unfortunately, but the attacks are similar to the normal panther, just has that cool appearance to it. So I really like this because it just gives you a whole lot more choice in terms of how you play yourself as a druid. I'll show the fire humanoid as well, just to show off what this one looks like. It's pretty cool. It's like a wood with fire. And then this one also gets itself the concussive smash, flame seed, a normal main hand attack, and then twisting branch. Not super powerful, but it can be fun too. So there's two Duskblade mods. One of them is made here by Water Witch 83. This is this one here, BG3 Duskblade class. This has 3 subclasses, the Arcane Knight, Spellblade, and the Magus, and then you have a bunch of different effects here, which are pretty interesting. You can check this mod IO page out for further details. I think that this is a very well done mod. I want to focus on both of them because it's interesting just to see how 2 different mods, same type of class, can work. So that's that one. Here's the one by Water Witch 83. So basically what it looks like, you can see here we got 3 cantrips, but this Duskblade gets 3 cantrips, 6 spells, a fighting style, and then the subclass at level 1 with Elemental Blade giving you the energy surge, doing an additional 2d8 of an energy type. And we also get the 2 arms, Battle Cry, or the Necromancer Blade, which does the Blade of Blood there, additional slashing damage. And then also the Psychic Strike, which is cool. It's a necromancy spell, channel the weave into your strikes, rattling your enemy's brain, cause an additional 2d8 psychic. So kind of like extra smites or elemental damage that you can just infuse into your weapon. I think this is an incredible mod because, yeah, you got so much choice here, and I'll just quickly take you through it all. You can see the different damage types. We'll go with the Elemental Blade because I think that's the one that most people would want to see. But these 2 classes are both really well done. So Duskblade, they're working on getting these to console. So if you're a console player, they're hopefully coming too soon. You also get a spell power, getting a +2 to overcome spell resistance to your opponents. And good spell slot selection, like Hold Person is a great one to have on a melee class. This one also gives us Flame Blade, Flame Spear, or Heat Metal. And this is a spell from our subclass, so the Necromancer will get different versions of that. Good selection for cantrips as well. Unfortunately, this one does not use the Mistress Spell mod, so hopefully in time we will see that come through, because I think Mistress Spells adds a lot to the classes. We also get Quicken Spell Meta Magic, so that's pretty fun to have, and then also the protection from energy, some other spell slot selection, and then also things like Lightning Arrow and Fireball. So further expanding our choice in spells there, and they're elemental based. So we also get the Elemental Adept, so you can choose a damage type, ignore resistances to that, and you can't roll 1 of that damage type. So it's nice for fire, especially because a lot of targets will resist fire damage, and we can now ignore that without having to take a feat on that. Then we also get our Conjure Minor Elemental, which is nice to have in Firewall. As we level up at level 8, we get some more selection in spells, and then at level 9 here, we'll get even further class features with a +3 to overcome spell resistances. We get some extra spells, and then we get the choice of like Conjure Elemental, Cone of Cold, even Insect Plague, which I think is a cool one to see. Cone of Cold being one of my favorite spells in the game, so that's obvious what we're going to take. And then we get ourselves another class passive here with the ability to add another Elemental Adept, so you can be a cold and fire damage dealer and not have to worry about switching between them. And get another spell slot with Disintegrate. And then we get some level 6 spells with Chain Lightning, Odaluk's Freezing Sphere, Planar Ally, which is crazy to see, Wall of Ice. Yeah, there's a lot of great spells that you can get with the Duskblade class. Again, there's 2 different versions of this. This one is a little bit more overpowered one, but I think this is a lot of fun to play through as. So highly recommend checking this mod out, made by Water Witch 83. They did a great job with this one, and you can see there you can add a bunch of different types of damage to your attacks. So whenever you go ahead with your elemental weapon, you can add additional 2d8 cold damage to your attacks, and you can even upcast this to like level 6 if you want to add extra damage to a target's weapon, so, or a target attack. So that's really huge. Basically an elemental smite, that's what it is. So that's a really cool one. Both Duskblade classes are great. Next we're going to show off the I did a build guide for this yesterday. This is a Death Knight. This one is made by Vard, and basically what this is it's like, so there's a few different subclasses. We have the Death Knight here. This one is heavily based on the World of Warcraft class, and this unfortunately got removed from the in-game mod manager, so you can't download this one. But there's a new one, and Vard made this class here. So the Death Knight, it has some unique cantrips. This is based on their own, they're a game master for Dungeons and Dragons, and they made this homebrew class himself. So it has a bunch of different cool spells here, like this can knock a target prone. This can deal a little bit extra damage. You get class passives with the weapon fighting style. But with this class, we also have the same three subclasses of the Blood Ruined, the Unholy, and the Frost Death Knight. So it's not as overpowered as the other Death Knight classes, but what's cool about this is you get extra spells depending on what you choose. So Unholy gets obviously necrotic damage. You get like an Armor of Agathis that does unholy damage. With Cold, you get obviously the plain old Armor of Agathis and Ice Knife, and the Blood gives us Boiling Blood and Blood Mark. Whenever you hit it with a weapon attack, regains health. It has a lot of unique spells to it as well, which I think is really fun to mess around with. So I'm a big fan of this. You can check out my build that I posted yesterday if you want to see the Unholy Death Knight, because that one is fun itself. It gets the extra attack. It uses Wisdom for its spell casting. Resistance to all damage types for a turn. That's pretty cool. Blood Feast. You get an indescribable joy from battle, and the weapon becomes magical, so you can make a magical weapon there. Always prepared. What's nice about this class is it's not broken. It's pretty strong, but not to the point that it feels like it's breaking the game, where some other mods really do feel like they're breaking the game. So this one's nice. The health point increases by level ×2, so this one has a lot more health. The Blood one, the Frost one obviously focuses on cold damage, and the Unholy is necrotic damage focus. So it's cool. This class also makes you download a mod that gives you a feat every 2 levels. So you also get the Blow of Life and Death, doing 3d8 bludgeoning damage and regain health points. This is like Vampiric Touch, but bludgeoning damage, which I think is really cool. A lot of unique spells with this. You got the Aura of Decay, which makes targets take necrotic damage when they're near you. So that one can be fun to just mess around with. And then we also get ourselves the Heart Attack, so we get additional 2d8 slashing damage with our weapons, and you take damage as well. So higher risk, higher reward there. I think that's an incredible choice for a class. I have a lot of fun with this one, so definitely recommend checking it out. Maybe we'll see another Death Knight that is similar to the World of Warcraft one. But this one here, Vard, as you can see, it's got the different dependencies, so different classes you can choose. Now, I want to show off the Demigod class. I love this one. This is made by Dean Enterprise. You get different hairs. So the hair of Zeus, hair of Ares here, hair of Hades, hair of Aphrodite. Basically what this looks like, so the Demigod class here, you get a divine recovery, but using a fate point. But you can choose a subclass based on one of the gods. So Zeus, Hades, Aphrodite, Ares, or Artemis. And with this, they get unique spells based on that god. So for Zeus, obviously we're getting lightning and other weather-related ones. And the same thing for the spells. I think this is an incredible mod. I did a Hair of Zeus mod build already, so you can check that out on my channel if you're curious. Artemis obviously being more focused on nature. So it's cool. Depending on what Greek god you choose, there's a lot of different things that comes with this. So I highly recommend trying this one out, because there's just so much you can do with this. With the 5 different subclasses, you could play 4 of these in your party, or 5 of these in your party, and each one's going to have its own unique build. So like Artemis gets a Ranger's Companion, and then again it gets more of the spells that are focused on nature, whereas Zeus will give you the abilities that make it more of a like a lightning build and a warrior style fighter. You also get a bunch of different class passives depending on what subclass you choose. I think that this one's a whole lot of fun, so I highly recommend you give this one a shot, because you may end up finding this to be one of your most favorite classes. You can see here, nature's calling the spider, so you can wild shape into a giant spider, wild shape into a raven or a wolf. So really fun to get all these different combat choices. And yeah, I think the Demigod is one of my favorite mods that they've added. Someone has created. Dean Enterprise did a fantastic job with this. So Demigod agility increases movement speed. You get Moonbeam with this subclass. The Aphrodite, or the Artemis, is the newest subclass that they added, and it's really fun. Medusa gaze. It's themed heavily, obviously, on Greek mythology. So if you're a fan of that, or if you're a fan of like God of War, the OG series, you'll be at home with this one, because this just has so much to love in it. And I can't say enough good things about the Demigod mod. I just have so much fun playing with this one. So yeah, I highly recommend checking it out, because yeah, you can do a lot with this. So I'll just show off briefly what you got. Even Lunar Volley, which is cool. It's like an arrow attack with radiant damage. I played around with all the subclasses and I actually can't pick my favorite. I'm tempted to say Zeus just because obviously it's Zeus and lightning damage is one of my favorites, but Artemis is giving me a run for money here. You get the ability to have a Ranger's Companion. This class is a little bit overpowered, but not broken overpowered. See the Ranger Companion there? It's not the upgraded version of the bear, but it can go to things and it will draw aggro for you. But then you also get wild shape charges to like turn into an owl bear. So this is cool because you can transform into like an owl bear, and then you got your bear there. This is just what's nice about the transformations is it's just temporary health. So you can use this to give yourself a buff, and then you also got your different toggleable passives. So when you heal, you can deal additional healing. You also get like great spells like Misty Step, and you can get in close attack. You get web, depending on what choices you went with. And then you got your Artemis arrows here, pull shot, which will pull enemies towards you. Cloud shot makes darkness, and multi shot shoots multiple arrows. This class is probably the most well done class that I've seen in a long time in the mod manager. It just has so much for it, so I have to highlight this one. They did a fantastic job with it. Also, the Hair of Aphrodite is a pretty fun class to go with as well because it's psychic damage focused and you can control your enemies. It's crazy. I think you could play like, again, a team of 5, and each class is going to have its own unique build and not feel similar to another one. Now we got ourselves the Oakheart Sentinels. I've talked about this in a previous video, but I have to highlight this one because this is another class that I feel like is extremely well done. So the mod creator actually went and recreated this mod after it had an issue. There is 6 subclasses here. This one is kind of similar. I was showing off Artemis there, but you get a Ranger's Companion and you get Druid spells. So this one here, depending on the subclass, you get different choices of spells or different choices of like companions and different subclass features. So there's a Springkeeper, Sunwatcher, Lore Seeker, Phase Shaper, Fall Reaver, and Frost Weaver. I'm a big fan of cold damage, so I'm just going to show off the Frost Weaver here. You get the choice of like Mistress spells here too, which I think is an incredible way to kind of tie in a lot of different mods together. You get 3 different skill proficiencies here. So I'll just show this off. But you get, as you can see, you can get the classic companions from the Ranger, or you can get the Oakheart companions, which are different. So like a Spirit Eagle, Tainted Bear, Blink Dog, Saber Cat, Winter Wolf, and Owl Bear. So we'll summon ourselves in the Winter Wolf here, so a big good boy. And this also has a lot of health to it, as the icicle attacks of Frost Breath there. This is pretty strong at early levels, obviously, but yeah, as you level up, it'll start to become a bit more balanced. So you got here the Oakheart casting expertise, and with this you get the spells that are similar to the Druid spells. You also get an extra attack, so it's like a melee version of the Druid, which is awesome. You also get yourselves chunks of ice. Depending on the subclass you choose, it has a ton of unique spells that are given to it, similar to the gods of Greek mythology mod that I showed off there previously, the demigod mod. Each of these subclasses is extremely well done. You also get an improvement to your companion, call forth the freezing rain, and you get counterspell with this subclass. Yeah, and it's got the whole druid subclass. It's got the whole druid spell list here, which I think is an incredible spell list. I keep saying the druid's got one of the best spell lists in the game. You'll also get ourselves like Ice Storm, depending again on subclass. So this is very powerful. You could probably solo the game with this because things like Woodland Being and Minor Elemental let you summon forth, like Woodland Being can crowd control for you. You also get Cone of Cold at level 9, which is just crazy. Very powerful spell. I love Cone of Cold. And your beast will get an extra attack as well. So you get a powerful ally. And at level 11, this class gets Wall of Ice and Oluk's Freezing Sphere, which are 2 very powerful spells. This combined with Mistress spells adds a whole lot to the game. So we got our, summoning a bear there. We also got our Freezing Rain spell, which is cool. Creates ice surfaces. Tidal Wave is a nice spell. I recommend taking with this because it'll create water. Chunks of ice basically does 3d8 of ice damage, and you can hit it in a target, so creates explosions. So what this looks like is boom, boom, boom. You can drop that down on the targets and deal a bunch of cold damage. If you got create water set up, that'll make ice surfaces. So yeah, I love the Oakheart Sentinels. This is made by Nicely ST. They did a fantastic job with this mod. I can't say enough good things about this. You should definitely give this a shot if you're curious about this mod. Next, we got ourselves the Worm Sworn. So this is an incredible mod. This is made by Echo0000. They created the the Artificer mod. I'm not going to feature this one because I know a lot of people will likely be seeing this soon on console. I'm hoping at least. The Artificer obviously being a very top tier class as well, but the Artificer is well known. The Wormsworn is a little bit less known. So we got ourselves 3 different subclasses here with the Blade of the Worm, Path of the Worm, and the Herald of the Worm. Blade of the Worm is like a paladin. You get to smite. You can smite using Worm Oath, so you can choose an ancestor. So if you go with the Lightning Dragon, you get a Lightning Smite. Path of the Worm gives you a free breath attack every turn, and the Herald of the Worm allows you to open a portal and deal damage to enemies. Now, they're all really fun subclasses. I guess I'll show off the Herald of the Worm. The Blade of the Worm gives yourself, like, as I said, you get smites that choose the damage type, and you can also get higher level spells. Like at level 1, we get Lightning Bolt, but this uses our, I'll show you in a second here. So this uses our, what's called the Dragon Blood for our resource. So you get one of these and it's replenished on long rest. So if you wanted to, you could use up all your spell points at the first level and use a Lightning Bolt. You get more obviously as you level up, and then there's different passes that let you regain them as you continue. So like Blood Gift, first time you cast a spell in combat, gain Dragon's Blood. And then like if you take out a dragon, or if you take out a target, you get 2 targets, you get Dragon's Blood back. Or if you use a smite, you get Dragon's Blood back. I've done a build guide on the Wormsworn, so I highly recommend checking that out if you're curious about this one, because it is extremely fun to play around with. This mod creator has done a fantastic job with their mods though so far, so I had to highlight this one just because I think it is an incredible mod. So yeah, the Wormsworn, I've done a build on it. You can check that one out for further detail. You can also let you summon in Dragonborn warriors to fight for you. So yeah, it's really cool. There's a bunch of different benefits here. You can see like you get a repelling blast, basically, which with your breath attacks, it can knock back targets. You also get a snaring breath, so your breath attacks can snare the target. There's a lot to love in this mod. I can't say enough good things about it. And next we got ourselves the Wild Heart. Now this is a really fun one made by Wildsong XXL. With this, there was just a new subclass added to this. So it has 4 subclasses: the Master of the Hound, which gives you a dragon or a dog companion or a wolf companion; the Green Speaker, which gives you the choice between a spider, blue jay, or a Grimishka. Then we have the Raven Song, which gives you the Raven companion; and the Primal Lord, which gives you the choice between an owlbear cub and an Alioramus. So great selections there. It also has a pretty good spell list, and it also uses Mistress spells. Bonus points anytime a class mod uses Mistress spell, just because it adds a whole lot more to the game. And I know a lot of people are using Mistress spells, so I love this mod. There's a lot to like about it, and you can summon in your pet here, and then you can buff them up with a different spell. So we got our little dragon friend here. It's really cool. And as you level up, you get further spells and different things like sorcery points that you can use to basically what the Wild Heart is basically like is if you played Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, there's the Sylvan Sorcerer, which is kind of a combination of Druid and Sorcerer. So this is both of those combined together, and I think that that is a lot of fun. So highly recommend checking this mod out. It has now 4 subclasses, so there's a lot to love with this, because anytime a creator has multiple subclasses in their mod, there's just a lot of fun things that you can do with it. So highly recommend this. And as you level up at level 6 and level 11, you can buff your pets up even further, and you can get different companions. So this can give us like the Dilophosaurus, the Owlbear. So you have choice. You can summon different ones in for different occasions. I think that this is an incredible mod. The Wild Heart is a whole lot of fun, so highly recommend giving this a shot. You can see there we have 13 health on it, but we can use this and it'll buff our target up. So we also can summon in a second pet, so summon in our Owlbear too. And we got both of them there, and then we can add in extra health to both of them. So that's cool, because then they become stronger, and it's a whole lot of fun. I can't recommend this mod enough. So yeah, that is the Wild Heart. So there is 10 of the best class and subclass mods in Baldur's Gate 3. Try to cover some that weren't talked about often. So if you found this video fun or useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Really appreciate any and all support, guys. Hope you have an incredible day, and I'll see you all in the next video.